Hello and welcome to the Brett Lee podcast. I'm your host, Brett Lee. Thank you so much for listening in. It's the Aussie summer. Of course, if you want to get in contact, make sure you jump on the email. And the email is the BrettLeePodcast at news.com.au. Buzzard, hello, mate. It's finally fantastic to see Johnny Bairstow get 100 for the Poms. They're looking all right.
Yeah, g'day Binga, g'day everyone out there. And how good to finally see more than 20 minutes of fight from the Poms. Johnny Bairstow, fantastic. Just decided to finally take it to Australia rather than sit back and be meek and mild. Him and Ben Stokes yesterday provided a glimpse of what may have been had they had that attitude from the beginning.
Yeah, it would have been nice, wouldn't it? I just think the actual mindset that he had, Johnny Bairstow, went out and just took it on. Batted his whole time in that vest of his on, his jumper. He looks as though that he just thought, bugger this, I'm going to go out there and play with that intent, and it's come off for him.
Yeah, and it's sort of how England have played their white ball cricket for the last few years, a fearless brand of cricket. We're just going to go after them. You want to look at the polar opposite. Look at Joss Buttler, who looks like a rabbit in the headlights when he goes out. But when he plays one-day cricket, he's smashing it all over the place. Easy to do when you're not under as much pressure of a test match and the side's not doing well. But it was all about attitude yesterday. After being 4 for 30, Johnny Bairstow came in and Stokes was in at the time, and they just decided, righto, we're going to take it back to them. And it's amazing how the luck flows your way and things happen for you when you have that attitude. And it was good to see yesterday, and he's still in at the moment. And who knows? He might be able to go on, and if he bats for another hour
he might peel off at 200.
Well, the closer they can get to Australia's first innings total, they give themselves half a chance.
So you've seen there's a chance.
A small chance. But look, if they'd have to get within 100 and then roll us for 120, and anything's possible.
You never know. And that's the great thing about cricket, is that you're always in the game. Well, you mentioned they were 4 for 30 or close to. Scotty Boland, who had a terrific 6 for 7 at the MCG. At one stage, he'd taken, collectively, between the two tests, he had 8 for 7.
Yeah, ridiculous. 2 for none for quite a while. Yes, and it was actually a bit of a surprise when they actually got him off the square, and his bowling figures were decimated to 2 for 1 at one stage.
He is human.
But then he went down injured, took a tumble, had to go off, and we didn't see him at the crease, but that's come back all good, so probably expect to see him steaming in again this morning.
Yeah, hopefully he gets that border talk off the that 7 mil of grass that's present at the SCG. One guy I've been so happy for, it's a wonderful comeback story. Usman Khawaja had been moved away from the Australian cricket team for a number of years, I think about 5 years, I reckon. Got his opportunity through Travis Head, testing positive to COVID, gets injected to number 5, peels off 100, 130 odd. What a great story.
Yeah, and go back a few weeks, and we were discussing the merits of Travis Head when Head and Khawaja were vying for the number 5 position before the first test at the Gabba. I think both of us may have gone with Usman, saying we thought he should have been selected. Travis Head proved us wrong with a fantastic 150. I still think Usman's in the best top 6 batsmen we have in this country, including Travis Head. So it didn't surprise me at all. The great thing about that innings was because he'd been sitting on the sidelines for, best part of a month, 5 weeks, to go out there and score 130 in your first innings of any competitive cricket back under the pressure of a Sydney test was just amazing. And he just did it easily.
He did. He looked so fluent, just almost a bit like Brian Lara, just the way that his shot selection is just so freely flowing. Can he retain his spot?
He should.
Head comes back. Does he maybe go up and open?
Well, that's going to be the big question mark now. It's very hard, a bit like Scott Boland, who took 6 for 7 in the Melbourne test, to drop him for the Sydney test. It's going to be very hard to drop Usman for the Hobart test. And you have to say now that Marcus Harris has had a lot of chances, still only averaging 20 in test cricket. He's probably the logical one that would come into the spotlight. Usman could quite easily open the batting. I mean, he batted through the second new ball in the 100. He just scored. What I love about Usman too is just his attitude. He's relaxed. He's mid-30s. He's got a family now. And just in some of the interviews before and even during the match on Fox Cricket, when we dropped the spider cam down, or the Fox down to have a chat to him in a drinks break, how relaxed he was and how much he was enjoying it. And, I think I think Usman's got a couple of really good years left in him.
I do agree with that. And, him doing his running man when he came on in Adelaide and, just enjoying his cricket, got his opportunity, grabbed it with two hands. And let's just have a listen to that moment when Usman Khawaja brought up his 100.
In the test side, facing Leach. Whips it, and whips it well. Khawaja, the comeback kid. Comes back for three. A ninth test 100 for Usman Khawaja. Uzi's back, and he's big, and he's better than ever. And pumped about it.
What about the celebration?
How good. Oh, yes.
So just show, I'm not into, I'll admit it now, I'm not into NBA or basketball, but the old LeBron James, what was it called? I can't remember, the march or something like that, or it's the...
Well, LeBron James does it after every single, game that he plays where he succeeds. And
silencer or
pretty
something.
much, yeah. I mean, it's just probably hushing all the fans, but he's even called his dog LeBron.
Has he?
Yeah, he's got a dog called LeBron.
Yeah, he's into his basketball, is he? So when I first saw it, I thought, what the hell's he doing?
I thought he was trying to snap his bat. I don't know what he was doing. Well, listen, we want to keep this segment short because we've got Graeme Swann coming up after the break. A terrific guy, a funny man, isn't he, Buzz?
Oh, one of the great entertainers. Look, an amazing cricketer in his own right. But, look, cricket, let's face it, is full of boring fuckers.
Yep.
And Graeme Swann supplies an amazing amount of entertainment whilst having that great knowledge. I just really looking forward to having a chat to him.
Well, he's a terrific guy. Make sure that, obviously, if you want to get in contact via the email, it's at the Brett Lee podcast at news.com or get in contact with us through the WhatsApp group, and the link to that is in the episode notes. Right, we'll have a quick break. Graeme Swann coming straight up. Thanks, everyone, for listening to the Brett Lee podcast. Buzz it, segment 2. This is a segment that we always love, a special guest. Now, this person who I've played a bit of cricket against, a legend of the game, Graeme Swann, 42 years of age, made his test debut back in 2008, 60 test matches for England, 255 test wickets, best bowling figures of 6 for 65, 1,370 test runs. He's got 17 fifers in test, 3 tenfers. Tell you what, he is an all-round great guy, a funny man. Graeme Swann. Swanny, hello, mate. Happy New Year. Welcome.
Oh, Binga. Happy New Year, Buzz. Great to see it. Well, I'm going to say it straight up. Binga, Buzz and Swanny. Sydney FM, morning show. I think this could be a future. We could talk about how shit house the Poms are, things like that. It'd be great.
I think you're onto something there. I think we could definitely trot that out.
How you been, mate? How's your health?
Health's good. I've had my COVID. Got that out of the way. I nearly chopped my thumb off on Christmas Day.
Oh.
You can. People can't hear that, but I'm showing you on my Zoom here. Nearly chopped that up. Doing sweet potato. Who has sweet potato on Christmas Day? Honestly,
Sweet
this
potato.
is England. We have parsnips. We have turkey. I just got outside my box.
And a big knife?
Joke.
I'm assuming a big knife.
A big knife.
I'm
yeah.
assuming a few beers involved too.
Yeah, I was half cut, to be honest. Yeah. Or as you Aussies say, I was soft, mate. Absolutely soft. Shouldn't have been in charge of a knife. But there we go. But I'm all good, Binga. How are you boys doing? Obviously, cock a hoop because you're panning us in the cricket.
Mate, we're actually going all right. Yeah, it's the Aussies are playing some seriously good cricket. England finally yesterday, and Johnny Bairstow, happy for him firstly to get that big 100 last night. Great for him. You must be proud of, I guess, a little bit of fight back from England, mate.
Well, I am, and what I'm especially proud of is it's only taken us like 4 test matches to actually realise how to play against Australia. I mean, the one thing that we do well in England, every 20-odd years or so, we beat Australia. And we do it by being absolutely ultra-aggressive. 2005, I don't mean to bring this up. I'm not having a go at you, Binga. But 2005 was the first time in 20 years England attacked the Australian bowling. So Marcus Trescothick, from the off, looked to get after Warney especially, and yourself, looked to be aggressive. Aussies don't like that. Aussies are big and they're aggressive. They're playground bullies. And I'm smiling when I say this, because they want to be dominant. And they know that if you're playing against England, if you're like that, England will crumble and they'll go into their shells and be like submissive little puppies on the floor. Every 20 years or so, a captain comes along and stops England doing that, and they're aggressive and they fight the fight and, maybe win the Ashes. But then we don't learn from it. 4 years later, it'll be straight the same. When they came to Australia 2006, the exact opposite. Little puppies again, submissive. Let's play defensively. Let's get ourselves into the game to get hammered again. So that's what we've done. For the last 10 years, There's just not been the aggressive nature of English cricket. And we won't get any better. Every excuse under the sun's coming out, social bubbles and mental health and all things like that. Fair enough, it is hard living in a social bubble, but it's not hard to get out there and front up and say, come on, we'll take you on. Especially not when Nathan Lyon's bowling. Come on, boys. He's way past my record now. Jesus.
They've made him look good for you, Swanny. Short question. Stuart Broad, what the fuck?
What generally, or just why he didn't play in Brisbane?
Oh, well,
Brisbane, I know.
One thing I'll say about Brody, absolute legend. The one thing that is good, if you drop Brody or tell him you're not going to pick him, he'll get six for in the next game, guaranteed. So I'd say every game, Brody, you're not putting it in. You're not even very good looking anymore. You're looking old. You've got crow's feet. Sorry, mate, we're not having you. He'll get so fired up, he'll guaranteed get 5 wickets. His interview after the day's play is the first thing from this entire tour that I actually said, finally. Because someone, rather than make mistakes, rather than say, oh, we've got to learn from this, we've got to move forward, we've got to earn the right to do this. What the fuck are you talking about? Brody just went, well, you're not going to win any games and get bowled out for 150, and which is so right. In Australia, the only way to win is get massive runs first innings.
100%.
And we've not even looked like doing it.
Yeah, and, Swanee, the thing I like about Brody, and a lot of people have said probably the opposite to what I'm going to say, like halfway through the tour, in his column, he said that I should have been playing disappointed, etc., etc., etc. I don't have a problem with that because he's passionate. If I was dropped or you're dropped from a team or Buzz is dropped from a team, of course you want to play. And the easy option is to say, oh, look, it's the best for the team and all those politics and that stuff. I like what Brody said. I should be playing. I want to be playing every single test. And, mate, he's world class. He's a very good mate of yours, as is Jimmy Anderson. And we've spent, for those that don't know, Buzz, and you obviously know this, but me and Swanee spent a lot of time over in India commentating, and I wish I knew Swanee when I was playing against him, the guy that I know now. It would have been so much more fun on the field playing. But these two world-class bowlers, they have to play every single test. I know that, Jimmy's 38, 39 years of age, but, these are guys that have got over 1,100 test wickets between them.
Absolutely. And I simply don't understand why you take those two bowlers if you're not going to play them together. They're the ideal foil for each other, like Ambrose and Walsh were. And if they've got to the end of their tether and you think they've got no more to give, then you retire them. You say, thanks, but no thanks. They're obviously not going to do that because they're both still taking 5-wicket hauls. And Jimmy, even though he's not taking a hatful of wickets in this Ashes, he's going at 1.5 and over, which, let's face it, he's more of a medium pace these days, but he still does a bit. He still gets big wickets. You need him. You have Brody at the other end because they're such a good partnership. Then Robinson. I don't see what the problem with that 3-ball is. Then you've got Ben Stokes as your 4th-seamer and a spinner. What they're always doing, try and fiddle around. We're not playing this test. I mean, that wicket in Brisbane, how they looked at that and thought, no, we won't play Jimmy and Brody together. I mean, what the? Jesus, wow.
They were the only ones who thought that.
I do look at the TV sometimes and I try and put myself in the team. Like, think, right, I'll empathise. What would I be thinking in that situation? Because sometimes the team sees it very differently to the rest of the outside world. But surely there were people in that training room go, what are we doing here? This is a joke.
Swanee, last time England did win an Ashes series out here, 10-11, you were a big part of that. It towed us up 3-1. And your performance went a long way to winning that series. 15 wickets in that series. It doesn't sound a lot, but you tied an end up and kept Australia quiet. It must drive you nuts watching the shit Jack Leach is bowling outside the Australians' leg stump.
Well, I tell you what's winding me up about Jack. He's a lovely bowler. He's a great lad. It's winding me up how the whole English approach to Test cricket has gone. So after the first Test, he didn't have much cricket under his belt. That's not ideal for a spinner. Australia are always going to come hard at you at the Gabba. When you've got like Shavy Davy, left-handers, turn into him, he's always going to look to hit you down the ground, hit you a long way.
Shavy Davy.
And they were going to look to go. Yeah, they were going to look to get after you. That's a bit of an inside joke. I don't know, Sandpaper Dave, I don't know what we can call him, but whatever you want. But Warner's a really good, aggressive player, and he's got something to prove because he's been so shambolic against England for the last few Test matches he's played. I mean, he was a joke in England, and so he was always going to say, right, that's my matchup, I'm going to take him on. So you've got to expect that going into the game. Yeah, put a long on back straight away. Put a deep wicket back, but have your short leg, have your slip. And that is not, that I've heard halfway through this test match, earning your right to get a decent spell of bowling. That is bollocks. That's bullshit. You don't do that. You come on as a finger spinner, as an orthodox spinner. Your first 12, 15 balls are your most dangerous balls. Before the batsman's had a look. You don't just look to go bowl a maiden and block, and then bring the fielders in. You can put the men back to stop someone teeing off, but you have the aggressive player, and you say, I'm not worried about where it's going to land. I'm going to land it there, and I'm going to put a lot of revolutions on the ball. It might skid on, it might turn. Once those 12, 15 balls are gone, you are a finger spinner. And on Australian pitches that have very even bounce and don't turn a lot, you've got nothing to go there. You are completely defensive. Like my favourite line in the film Top Gun, Maverick, we are totally defensive up here. When you're totally defensive, even Iceman can't do anything. So I think from the start, I'm completely against what was said. Yeah, you've got to earn your right to have a long spell and get in. Put your men back to stop the boundaries. That's not to stop the boundaries. It's to stop the batsman teeing off and getting out of jail free. It's to make him do something he doesn't want to do. So I think it's just a whole mindset thing. I really wish the mindset of these guys was different. They're not being told this. Obviously, England is still playing the conservative approach. It's only today where Stokesy got injured and obviously just said, fuck it, I'm going to go for it. And Johnny Bairstow has realised that if he just looks to scratch around, he's not in form. So his way of getting out of it, treat it like a one-day game, tee off. And he looked brilliant. And just watching those first 7 or 8 overs of Nathan bowling, who's, like you say, England have let him bowl for like 3 series now. He's a great bowler and he's got a brilliant record. I've got a lot of time for Nathan. But no spinner, even Warney, who's the greatest bowler who's ever played the game of cricket, even Warney didn't like people getting after him.
Yep.
And no matter what a spinner says, don't mind him coming down, don't mind him trying to hit you over the top, bollocks. No spinner likes that. Spinner wants someone to stand in the crease, try and block everything and be a rabbit in the headlights. As soon as Johnny and Ben Stokes got after him, there's nowhere to go on the day 3 pitch. It's not really spinning. So hopefully the rest of the English batsmen will have seen that, thought, that might be an idea actually, perhaps to get on the front foot more.
So you actually reckon, Swanny, it's fair to say that, like fast bowlers, a spinner can intimidate a batsman? You know, I'm looking at your record here. You've got nearly 739 first-class wickets. So you've obviously done something right in terms of bowling the ball that you want to bowl rather than just let the batsman dictate, the terms, I guess.
Well, absolutely. But the proudest thing I've got from my career when I look back is how many wickets I took in the first over or first 2 overs of my spell or of a test match.
You got 2 in your first test match, didn't you?
First over. My very first. I mean, to be fair, they were Indian tail enders, Gambhir and Dravid, but I'll take them.
Couple of shit cards.
You're welcome.
But yeah, honestly, I used to come on and just think, so a massive thing that a lot of bowlers do, a lot of seam bowlers in England do it. The first over, they'll look to bowl it through to the keeper's gloves and get their line, get their length, get their rhythm. And a lot of spinners as well in England will start with no men around the bat. When you're a young spinner, especially county cricket, the captain goes, well, let's see how you get on. Then we might bring the fielders in. And so straight away, you're thinking, I hope I land it well. If you come on and say, I've done my 10,000 hours of practice, I know how to bowl, how am I going to get this bloke out? Your first 6 or 7 balls, if you're really fizzing it and landing it there or thereabouts, even if you bowl a slightly bad ball, it's not easy to score because the bloke is intimidated by you looking positive, looking like you know what you're doing. Half the time you don't, half the time you're hoping it goes well. But especially in Test cricket, I found, even more so than in first class cricket, Test cricket especially, there's so much pressure on the batsmen that they don't play a natural free-flowing game. Very few batsmen I ever bowled at happily played due from ball 1 as they would from ball 100. I'm thinking in the Australian team, Michael Clarke would be the only one who would run down the wicket first ball, not to hit you over the top, just to get you in the gap, use his feet. Even people like Punter, like Hussey, brilliant players of spin, but they'd always look, the first few balls would be prodding, they'd be a bit hard-handed, a bit tentative. So why wouldn't you then just think, no, my first 10 balls, I don't care if I get hit for 2 boundaries. Because if I get a wicket, then a new man comes in and I'll do the same thing again. That's why you can end up getting 5 for 20, 5 for 30, rather than 2 for 160.
I agree.
When the last 2 wickets you got caught on the boundary.
Yeah, I think from what I saw of your bowling, Swanny, the great thing about you was you challenged both sides of the bat, both edges, and that was a lot of times you would get a wicket in your first over, but not necessarily jagging one back through the gate, but via the outside edge, caught it slip.
Well, trust me, I was always trying to drag it through the gate.
Yeah.
I was always trying to bowl people because, I mean, I'm going to go back to Top Gun again because the got to be up here. I'm getting hard on. That was me when I bowled someone through a gate. It was so amazing. So, I mean, the wickets I look back on in my career, the ones that are bowled through the gate, punter, Edgbaston in the Ashes, 2009, still one of the best overs I've ever bowled. It's better than the over Fred bowled at him in 2005, but no one remembers that.
We'll drag it out for you today.
And then there's another Peter Siddle to win a Test match in Adelaide. I mean, Sid was no mug with a bat, but great ball through the gate. And there's one more Aussie, and I'm going to tell you this: it's the proudest moment of my life. It was at the Riverside Stadium in a one-day game, England v Australia. We were playing in a red kit, and I had 4 wickets. And this chap came in, blonde, beautiful-looking man, really aggressive, handsome, athletic, kookaburra gear. And I just bowled this ball. It drifted through the air, really, really fizzing, just drifted away, dipped at the last minute. He went for the big full defence, quite hard hands. A bit of a bowler, quite hard hands.
Very
through
hard
the gate,
hands.
bowled in middle stump. I've never been happier in my life. And what I did, stupidly, was run up and do this celebration that this very batsman used to do when he bowled. And that batsman, my friend, was Brett Lee. I got Brett Lee out, bowled through the gate.
You know what?
And did the run up and clicked my heels together.
You did.
Oh,
I thought, who's this cheeky little bastard, right? Doing the heel click, being 3 years younger than me. But, I knew you had 4, mate. I knew you wanted a Michelle Pfeiffer, so you're welcome.
thanks, man. I knew you did. No one else would get out to that ball. Legend.
So, Swanny, what are you doing with yourself these days? A great cricket career. What are you up to?
So basically, my life is always behind the camera now. It's working like Binga said, we do stuff in India. A lot of cricket these days finds me in Dubai and India because of the amount of money that's in that part of the world, to be honest. No coaching. I would love to get into coaching. What I have done is my level 1 umpiring course because I got so annoyed.
Geez, you'd be an attacking umpire.
So annoyed. I've been so annoyed at how bad the umpires were at my son Wilf's cricket games. He's only 10. He's a legend.
How is Wilf?
He's sat opposite me as well. Wilf, come here. Come here, say hello to Binga and Buzz.
Great name too. Hey, Wilf.
Hello.
How are you, buddy?
Have a chat to him.
Good.
Hey, Wilf, how you going? What's your dad like as an umpire?
He's all right.
Is he?
All right. Right, give it back.
Good luck
Go on,
in your
you,
cricket, buddy.
Yes, sorry, I've nicked the earphones back off Wilf because he said some bad words, and I know yours don't like bad words. But yeah, so anyway. So, do your Aussie accent. Say, g'day, Bing. How you going, mate? Do your Aussie accent.
G'day, Binga. How you going?
That's
Here you
pretty
go,
good,
mate.
Wilf.
Sweet as.
He's on to it.
Honestly, this kid's a little legend. So let me just tell you a quick story about Wilf here. So, I was still playing for England when he came along. I've got one of his first ever memories, and one of my favourite memories, being interviewed after we won an Ashes test at Trent Bridge, and I was holding him in my arms. And Ian Ward had the microphone, the fluffy bit on top of the microphone.
Yeah.
And Will just leaned up and grabbed it and started eating it. Live on the TV. That's my boy.
There you go.
But Wilf used to refuse to let me coach him. Didn't want anything to do with Daddy whatsoever. And then he taught himself to bowl by watching YouTube videos of Uncle Jimmy Anderson.
Is that right?
And so he bowls little steamers, this dude, and leg spinners for some reason. I think he must have watched me in reverse. But anyway, I got so annoyed at the level of umpiring when I was watching these games, I thought, right, I'm going to do it. I've done my level 1. And trust me, doing my level 1 course, which is basically how to stand up straight, how to put a white jacket on. That's what I thought anyway, how to count to 6. The amount of laws of cricket that I didn't know, that I had no idea, or I got wrong throughout my entire career, I feel ashamed, Binga.
Like
and
what?
I bet you would as well.
Give us one example.
Stuff like around the boundary. So in a club game of cricket, so if a tree is overhanging the boundary, but the white line goes and then up and half over the root, what is your decision if the ball hits the leaf that's hanging over the back? Stuff like that. Jeez. I was like,
is that right?
I don't know. Yeah. What do you say if you give a not out LBW decision and then one of the fielders comes up to you and asks why it wasn't LBW, then what is your response? And you have to be PC about these answers and everything rather than say, well, in club cricket, you just go fuck yourself.
That's what I'd be running out.
It was brilliant. But, Wilf, you didn't hear that, by the way. But yeah, honestly, but I loved it. I did this level 1, and it was absolutely brilliant. But I got 100% in the end. I did it 2 times, still I did.
Swanny, did that?
So I reckon umpiring might be on the cards.
Did
No one's asking me to coach the English spinners, so I might as well do something else.
Did that lesson include how to set the stumps up and make sure the bails fell off when the ball hit the stumps? Did you see that yesterday?
Oh, yeah.
The fuck's going on?
How good was that, though? I think there's got to be something about these bails are heavy, these zinger bails or whatever. Because that shouldn't happen. Unless it's a really windy day. You know, when in England, when you have windy days, you have the heavy bails. I've seen that happen. I've seen it once where the bail went up in the air, spun round a few times, and then landed exactly back in the groove. In the club game, that was weird.
I've seen a couple of examples of that.
Test match,
well, I'm not sure whether it was before or after. I'm trying to work out the actual timeline, but there was some footage of the skipper, Pat Cummins, was cleaning his boot with the bail. And I just wonder, was it from the same end? And two, if the mud was a bit of, stuck to the groove maybe.
Well, there you go. And the thing is, I mean, there's no excuses when the Aussies are fielding. There's a lot of sandpaper out there on the field just to make it, shave it off so it leaves the grooves. I mean, what are you thinking? So I don't know whether we're allowed to joke about that or not. I know you've sort of buried it and we all forget about that. Let's talk about Novak Djokovic instead.
Thoughts? Thoughts on Novak's?
Thoughts? Go home. Get your jabs, for Christ's sake. I mean, come on.
Yeah. I think that's a popular opinion over here.
I never know whether we're allowed to say that or not. We've always got to say, oh, your body, you're right. It's not really, is it? Think about everyone else.
Well, mate, you can say whatever you want, Swanny.
If you want to drive a car, you get your license. So just have a jabs, lad. Come on. It's very easy.
I'm with you, Swanny.
Very well said. Now, listen, for those that don't know, Swanny is a lead singer, a showman. Been in a couple of bands, Dr. Comfort, wasn't it? And Lurid Revelations.
Dr. Comfort and the Lurid Revelations, yeah.
Are they still, because obviously you know about Six and Out, and we've had many of late nights over in India playing the guitar and singing. He does a great Elvis impersonation. Does a lot of impersonations, actually. But is the band still going, Swanny?
I hope but it's not. I'm hoping to revive it. It gets revived every now and again. It's one of those things. I started doing that as a laugh. I went for a beer with my mates. And as most people who've grown up playing guitar or singing, we all sat there saying, oh, I wish we'd been in a band. I wish we'd done that. One of the guys just said, right, we're going to be. Phoned up a local bar next to Trent Bridge and said, I've got this band. We'll come and we'll sell it out on Sunday. If you put us on, if you buy us a soundboard, we'll bring our own instruments and we'll do it for nothing. We're shit hot. His words. So this bloke went, sorry, I said another swear word. Will, go upstairs. Tell the story, Will. Stop ruining it.
Put your headphones on.
Karate Kid 3 on the telly. Earmuff. So anyway, this guy's called Andy Afford, who played a bit of first-class cricket. He'd said to this bar owner, I've got this band and this shit up. We'll play this Sunday. We went to a pub and rehearsed like 4 songs that we played on repeat on the night. Turned up and he took about 11 grand behind the bar.
What?
This bloke, the bartender was made up. It's his biggest ever taken. Because basically, we were all lads involved in cricket, and he said, spread the word, get every cricket player in Nottingham to come down to Sunday night, and we just played Sunday night rocking floor fillers. It was brilliant. Bit of Bon Jovi, AC/DC, Guns N' Roses. It was amazing.
What's your go-to? If you had to sing one song, what would you crank out?
Well, I'm not much of a singer. I'm a very good frontman.
You are a good singer.
I'm your proper Liam Gallagher. But the one I always liked was that The Calling, Wherever You Will Go. What a tune. I used to have tears streaming down the faces of people in the place when I sung that.
Be pretty fair to say that we've done that a few times in India, haven't we?
We have.
Just a couple.
Well, it's my favourite time is Binga when he gets the guitar out late night. A bit of Eagles.
Yes.
Lion Eyes, me and Binga, we should release that. We could make millions in India doing that.
Next time you're in Oz.
Version of Lion Eyes by the Eagles.
Next time you're in Oz, mate, we'll get you up.
The city girls just need to find out early.
There you go. We could run about the English cricket team called Crying Eyes.
Oh, there we go. It would never be as good as Can't bowl, can't throw.
Nothing ever is, mate.
Hey, we spoke to a few people about, obviously, you were coming on our podcast, Swanny, and the first thing that they said, love him as a cricketer. I think because you're such a funny guy, people, they probably don't get how good you were as a cricketer. As I mentioned before, 255 test wickets. You don't get that if you can't bowl, first and foremost, and you've got an incredible record. But what they always want to hear are impersonations. Now, you're a funny man. We've done some work with you, obviously, on Triple M and sort of over the years. But any impersonations, any new ones that you're coming out with, or?
Well, new ones. I mean, there's your go-tos. I'm not allowed to do one or two of them these days because you get in trouble.
What about if we had to go to South Africa
we go to South Africa. It's no problem, mate. I mean, you guys, you Oaks come over here and try to play as our own game, but I mean, South African is easy for me to do because half of my team I played with are South African. It's Jonathan Trolley. I'm talking like Trolley. It's not easy about out there. It's skimming all over the place, and I was happy to get 150.
Can you do Kevin Pietersen?
Who's going to hate that? Kevin. Kevin and I don't get on that well. Graeme Swann is an excellent guy. Horrible guy, actually. I can't remember. I contradict myself a lot.
What about a great mate of ours who just hung the microphone up, David Bumble Lloyd?
Oh, love Bumble.
Oh, super. He's a super playing off. But David Lloyd's a super bloke. He's a nice guy. When England played Zimbabwe, we murdered him. I tell you who my recent favourite is Bommy Mbango. I love the way he talks in one long sentence that hardly takes a breath. He's a great guy, a stunning man.
Oh, you got to have an Aussie one up your sleeve somewhere.
Mate. The thing is with Aussies, I mean, you're so hard to actually nail an individual person because you're sound the same, mate. But let me tell you a story about Australia, my favourite story, and I told this on the grade cricketer thing because they're good guys. It's not as good as this podcast, obviously, because Sparson's on this one. But my brother went to play a season of cricket in Newcastle, New South Wales. He's an opening batsman, my brother, a bloody good player. So when he was about 18, he went to play for Wallsend Cricket Club.
Yeah.
We had a couple of first-class players. Steve Story played there, Dave Edwards. They had a good team. But my brother was breaking all these records in first grade cricket. And I was only about 14, and me and my mum and dad went over for Christmas to go and see him. And he was playing a game, so we went along to watch. And my mum was from Lancashire. Hey, I love you, all right. Talks like that. Oh, we're going to watch our Alex have a bat. And whoever they were playing against, this team, they had an opening bowler called Dillo. And he got a couple of wickets, and he was quite quick. I don't know what his name was, Dylan's or whatever, but his nickname was Dillo. And I'll always remember me and my mum and dad just going for a lap of the ground while my brother's batting, and the guy at second slip just going, stick it up his fucking nose, Dillo! And my mum goes, oh, that's not very nice, is it? Raymond, go and do something about that. So my dad goes, shut up, woman. Game of cricket, let it go. And that, for me, so whoever that second slip was, said, stick it out his fucking nose, Dillo.
So was he.
That is my favourite. That's the most Australian thing I've ever heard in my life. And even so when I got to play against Australia in the Ashes, and I'll be honest, and Binga will back me up here, there is very little sledging that actually goes on. There's some absolute tripe that the less intelligent players of either side, like Pietersen and Warner, will come out with. But it's basically personal stuff. There's nothing clever. But that one line, stick out his fucking nose, I never heard anything that even rivaled that in an Ashes Test match. It was just beautiful.
It's just as well his nickname wasn't Dildo. Could have been better.
It's hard to stick that up your nose, mate.
What would Jeffrey Boycott make of that situation, you reckon?
Oh, no, it's a joke. Sir Jeffrey Boycott, thank you very much, young whippersnapper. No, I'm not having it. England, you joke, rubbish. Oh, Rooty, what about Joe? Well, we'll have a bat here in Brisbane. It's looking green, so we'll drop
Stewart, because he's only got 450 test wickets. Yeah.
Hello, Ruchi. I love you.
Hey, mate, look, we obviously thank you so much for coming on the podcast, and we wanted this to be a bit of fun and for people to understand the real Graeme Swann. But, mate, in terms of your cricket, you have achieved greatness, arguably the best spin bowler ever to play for England. I know that you obviously love playing for England. You're a very, very proud English player and a proud English all-rounder. There we go. He's putting his cap on now. Looks, mate, suits you, buddy.
This is my official one as well.
Thank you so much today for coming on, mate, and look after yourself, Swanny.
Anytime. And Buzz, remember, Binga, Buzz and Swanny. That is the new breakfast combo.
Graeme Swann, he's achieved so much in the game of cricket, but away from the game, just a terrific guy and such a funny man. He's always got a smile on his face.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Test cricket and cricket takes itself very serious times, so it's great to have characters like that out and about and, actually providing some entertainment to people.
Yeah, well, he's a legend. All right, quick break, and we'll come back and wrap it all up. Thank you so much for listening to the Brett Lee podcast. Graeme Swann, Buzz, what a legend. What a funny man.
Yeah, in a game that takes itself terribly serious at times, great to see that there are some characters out there and some entertainers, and I love listening to Swanny and look forward to doing so. Look forward to listening to you two in the IPL now, and hopefully people out there get a bit more of a feel for what a great fella he is.
Absolutely. Just quickly, prediction, day 4 of the fourth test here. Can they do it? Can England fight back?
Well, Johnny Bairstow needs to bat for at least an hour, so the English tail are going to have to show a bit of backbone and hang around with him. There's still a lot of carry in this wicket. I've never seen an SCG wicket carry that far on day 3 yesterday, so it won't be easy against the Aussie quicks. Bit of uneven bounce. So if they can get within 100, then they have to get out there and roll Australia cheaply and maybe chase down 200, 220, which won't be easy on a 5th day SCG wicket. But they're a chance.
They're a chance. Well, I do agree
Small
with that.
chance.
I think overcast conditions are the Aussie bowlers. They could dominate this morning. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to the Brett Lee podcast. If you like what you're listening to, feel free to leave a review on the episode wherever you're listening to your podcast. And of course, we're going to review this test, I guess, when it's finished, and then looking forward to the 5th test, which will happen in Hobart. Buzz, as always, brilliant. What do we say?
Keep your chins up.
Keep your chins up. Thanks for listening in. Ta-da.